Much, and I'm going to start the recording now so that our pitchers get this for their show reels and everything else. So we have bulls here. Bulls, the overall spectacle that we have here is about making sure that our pitchers look amazing to you guys. They feel good, they know what's happening, but they also get constructive feedback. So you'll see Chris Deering's on here. He's one of ours, and you'll meet him in a couple of minutes. We've got Vicky and we've got Ben. So we want to make sure that these people that have been investors, been CEOs, still are CEOs, doing things, give great feedback. Our past pitchers, the great thing about this, and we talk about it being a Birmingham showcase, but actually it's a global showcase. We've had people from Brazil, the US, Spain, Italy, all over the world, all over Europe. So our past pitchers, and they're not always tech. They've been creative, they've been games, they've been food, all sorts of services, but it's all about that starting bit of cash, which sometimes is the hardest amount to get. And we have a global network. So we have global investors, we have global pitchers, and actually we have global viewers. The beauty and the downside of COVID and everything else was that we were isolated in our houses. But outside of that, we got to go online and we got to engage with people over Zoom. How did the BullRing work? And Mike walked you through it. Was we try to make this fast, furious, and fun. So it's MC led. Mike and I help you lead this. They're timed pitches. Mike said 5 minutes. The Bulls then give feedback. And guess what? You guys in the audience get to give your opinion of what you thought about the pitch in polls. So we're going to try something here, and we're going to try out the polls. So I'm going to launch the first one here. So I want you all to try this out. We'll give you about 30 to 40 seconds. So I'm launching the poll. So if you would tell us, is this your first BullRing? How many bulls have helped us over the past 4 years? And the last one is, which company has helped us out? And I've done this a little bit different this time. So if you've been here, we want to keep this fast, fun, and furious. And some people are getting kind of jokey. Very good. So we're getting there. We're flying in. 30 seconds, 40 seconds. We're going to end the poll now. So there's what you said. So is this your first one? No, I've been before. No, I love it. And I come back almost every time. And then we said 30. The answer is actually now we're at 40. I think the video is a little bit off. And then we're now, yes, rock fine. We put it all together. So this is where we are for you guys. This is what we're doing. And I want to introduce you to people that make this happen and make it actually spectacular from a feedback point of view. So I would like to introduce Victoria or Vicky Sylvester. So I will find you here in a second when I can pull it up. But Vicky, if you give us some feedback, if I can see you here. Don't see her here. So we're going to go straight into Chris Deering. Chris, I'm going to spotlight you for everybody. And if you could give us a little bit of background and feedback on you, tell us where you've been and what you like in entrepreneurial world.
Well, I'm retired from full-time work for about 10 years now. I left PlayStation and Sony after 20 years of Sony, and of which 10 were with PlayStation. I enjoy whenever I can see a crossover of art and technology and entertainment in some mix. It doesn't have to be more of one or less than one, but you know, some mix of those elements. I love energy, enthusiasm, creativity, and I'm not particular to any type of client or service, but I do like if it has an entertainment value, it gets me going. So I've seen a lot of great pitches, not necessarily in tech or entertainment or in art, but they're always fun to watch because the BullRing is fun and they're fast. So come on, guys, be fast and fun.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Chris. And I'm going to replace you with our newest bull, replace Spotlight. Ben Torerro, would you please tell us a little bit about you and your history and what you look for in investments and pitching?
course. Thanks for letting me join. It's exciting. I'm Ben. I'm from Mexico City, but right now located in London, and I actually moved here very recently. I work in venture capital. I invest in early stage startups. So watching pitches, what I do almost 24/7. So this should be exciting. And we invest based a lot on behavior. So I like to see people who know who their client is, who their user is, how they behave, how they make decisions, demographics, etc. So these conversations are usually pretty fun to have with investors who are pretty knowledgeable in that respect. So looking forward for talking about that, and of course about all around the pitch and the business.
Very good. Very good. No, we appreciate that. And now we're going to move over, and guess what? It doesn't look like Vicky's here. So Mike, you're our third bull today. So you've done enough of these. So you're going to be giving a little bit of feedback as we go along. I know you always love to give a bit of feedback at the end of things, but I think we're gonna work you in here today. We're moving fast and furious and working on our feet right now. So
a key thing I would just say is, and this is something I said in the pitch perfect practice training that we do. This is $1 million pitch, £1 million pitch, however you want to dress it up. Whether you're looking for $1 million today, or as a result of the connections that you generate and the investment, the seed capital that you find, you build up to $1 million in turnover in the next 6 months, in the next 6 years, whatever that happens to be. Is this pitch today worth $1 million? And that's what it needs to be, because we want to seduce, we want to engage, we want to generate that interest. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm very much looking for the performance. Could I work with this organization? Could I trust them with my money, my investment house's money, whichever it is? That's all about engaging and trust. And that's very much what I'm looking for.
So we're gonna move straight into the pitches. This is what you're here for. So once again, the BullRing works in the aspect of you are going to make sure that you speak in 5 minutes. You're putting your point across, and everything else to your audience, which, like Mike says, is the size of a thumbnail. So first up, we have Varun. So I'll let Varun, if your team would share your screen. Perfect. And in typical fashion, let me switch from, I'll remove my spotlight and I will find you. There you are, Varun. I will put the spotlight on for you. And
thank you.
In typical fashion, Varun, let me pull up the thing, and your 5 minutes in the BullRing starts now.
Hi, my name is Varun Balsara, co-founder of Let's Level Up. We are a full stack solution that helps knowledge creators build and scale profitable learning academies through data-driven insights and intelligent recommendations. We are a group of Apple top 20 podcasters, course creators, and coaches, and we all have previous startup experience. Samara also has a technology background, and we are passionate about making quality education decentralized and accessible around the world. Today, we face an impending upskilling crisis. 52% of the workforce will need to be upskilled by 2025. And our current education systems for continuous learning are costly, time-consuming, and not taught really by industry experts. So what do we really do about this? Today, with factors such as the rise in unemployment, the boom of the creator economy, and the passion economy, as well as a side hustle revolution, there's a growing trend of industry experts and coaches quitting their full-time jobs in corporate or building their side hustles, teaching their expertise online. This is what we call as knowledge creators. So how do we really solve this upskilling crisis? Well, we believe that we need to enable these knowledge creators who are teaching professional skills to build their own learning academies. This way, students can learn from knowledge creators with actual industry experience. And on the other hand, the knowledge creator can build an income monetizing their expertise. However, current platforms do not allow this to take place very effectively. If you are a creator today and you want to monetize your expertise, you'll do one of two things. Maybe you'll put a camera in front of you, record yourself, and put it up on Udemy or Skillshare, one of these massive online open courses or MOOC platforms. But due to their platform saturation and the nature of pre-recorded courses alone, it's very difficult to actually get discovered and generate substantial income teaching on these platforms. So then you might quit these platforms and go to do something on your own. But then by using products such as Gumroad or Podia or Kajabi, these are SaaS platforms that help you sell your pre-recorded courses. They provide you with the tech, which is fairly complicated, and there's no guidance on how to really sell your knowledge or package it and scale it in a very income-friendly way. So this makes it very time-consuming and very ineffective. And as a result, many give up. Now, if we really need to solve this upskilling crisis, we need to enable these knowledge creators to be able to build effective and highly engaging, profitable learning communities in the most time-effective and cost-effective way as possible. And this is exactly where we, Let's Level Up, come in. We enable knowledge creators to make profitable learning academies very, very radically simply. So what's our special sauce? Well, building an effective learning academy really boils down to what we call as building a ladder of trust. Think of the ladder. At each rung of the ladder, you have a few products. Each product increases in value. And with that value, your trust increases, and therefore you justify a higher price point. Therefore, our platform enables these knowledge creators to build their ladder of trust and optimize their marketing and sales funnel, organize their operations and logistics easily. And our intelligent layer provides data-driven insights and recommendations. We have a basic version, which is free to start, but no intelligent support, which we offer a 10% revenue share. And with the intelligent recommendations, we price that at £100 a month plus 5% revenue share, which decreases over time the more you earn on the platform. Here's what we've achieved so far. In the last couple of months, we're growing at 80% month on month, and now we're working with over 60 knowledge creators in our paid private beta. 25% of new knowledge creators come from pure word of mouth alone from existing knowledge creators. We've crossed over 13K in revenue just from a few months of monetizing, and our personalization has actually helped knowledge creators achieve an over 85 NPS score and 90% course completion rates. In total, we've impacted over 500 students as a result of this. So how are we going to expand? With 3 phases. In phase 1, it's the paid private beta, where we generate awareness through content and education and build product and take that time to build product. In phase 2, it's purely product-led growth. So a fully functional product with our intelligent layer built. And then we start optimizing for B2B partnerships, where companies will pay us a subscription to access our knowledge creators and learning communities. Then over time, we want to keep our knowledge creator base growing and serving them, but at the same time, fulfill our B2B side, where we can generate a lot more distribution for our creators as well. We want to then consolidate in the EU market and scale globally. The market opportunity for this is huge. We estimate a total addressable market of over 45 billion. And it's growing at about 20% compounded annual growth rate. About Europe represents about 25% of that. And in 10 years, we aim to be a 200 million ARR company, which is, if you break it down, 100,000 knowledge creators and working with over 1,000 B2B organizations in paying us a subscription. We are raising a total in our pre-seed round of 300,000. About 30% of the round has already been committed. And this will give us a 12-month runway. Typically, we're focusing on marketing, product development, sales, and instructor support. SEIS and EIS are still available. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Perfect. Okay, a little bit over, but I gave it to you because we're so excitable. So we're going to start off with Chris. I'm going to put you guys on the ad spotlight. So Chris, a little bit of feedback for Varun.
Well, I think it's a fantastic middleware opportunity, or the product is obviously for companies in the long run. What I didn't quite get in the 5 minutes you had, we didn't really discuss that, but it's not completely a new idea, and you pointed on the screen to various assisting technologies. Where do you stand in the parade of entries and attempts at this kind of business? Do you think you're really distinctive, or you think you're have about the average appeal, but are much better and faster and better at scaling? You know, where's your point of advantage versus other potential competitors, and how you would line yourself up, level up against other people maybe offering the same service?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think this is a very good question, and thank you so much for asking it. So when we look at the competitive landscape, typically what you'd find is there'll be SaaS platforms which solely focus on course creation, which is this, and then there'll be some community-based platforms that allow you to sell more than just courses. But in each of these, if you go back to the root problem, is the fact that people who are industry experts don't necessarily know how to teach or package their content and market it effectively. What our platform does is it actually helps you set up those entire funnels to be able to go from start, like I don't know anything, to gosh, I've made 5K in revenue month on month. And so at each stage, we actually hold an instructor or a knowledge creator's hand and give them intelligent recommendations and feedback, then take them along that journey, which today, no platform is really doing. What they are doing is providing the technology infrastructure, but there's no layer of intelligence that adds that unique element where people can actually go through that process and improve over a period of time.
Perfect.
Well, that was my question. I was satisfied by the answer. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to remove Spotlight, and Ben, it's your turn to give feedback. So I'm going to add Spotlight for you. So Ben, could you give some feedback or some questions for Varun?
Of course. Well, first, that was very energetic, so that's great. Second, this is funny because I had actually seen that deck before, I think 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So maybe I'll address the questions that I had from that time. First, does this platform depend on you having users to watch the content? And by this I mean, is this like a LinkedIn or a TikTok or whatever, where creators go into the platform and they can access that user base?
Yeah. So this in the short run, the short answer is no. We're building it very specifically for knowledge creators who have a specific audience. However, over time, what we are realizing is there's anyways a cross-pollination of audiences taking place. So over time, we might open it up as a marketplace where people who don't have that audience can find more distribution. But right now, we're solely focused on being a tool that knowledge creators can use to engage their own audiences that they're building on other social media profiles.
Okay, here's the problem that I see with that. The finances of knowledge creators or content creators, which is the on a first principle basis what knowledge creators are not very good in general. So for example, Instagram has been trying to do for years like exclusive content agreements, on YouTube as well, and they are not very good at that because content creators can't get revenue only from one source, so they go to all other sources. So for them to be willing to pay for a platform that doesn't give access to new user bases, that only like helps them with marketing, I see that very, very hard, unless you're super price competitive. Second, on the B2B part, what value are companies getting from accessing that knowledge if knowledge creators don't have an exclusive content agreement with you and they can access it via, I don't know, Udemy or LinkedIn or TikTok or YouTube? Why would they pay for you for something that they can access elsewhere for free? And well, we can start with that.
So if you feedback on that, and then the other ones Ben can pick up with you afterwards.
Sure.
If you'd answer that one, that'd be good.
Yeah. I'll pick up the two of them. I think I would challenge you on that. I think what you're talking about are knowledge creators who are on Instagram, who are TikTokers or creators. That's not the people we're targeting. We're targeting people who have industry knowledge, who are building newsletters and professional communities around themselves. And these people make easily 2 to 3K per month doing what they're doing. And we have several use cases actually backing that. We're not going after these content creators on TikTok and Instagram who are, these are very professional people teaching very niche skill sets who are building niche communities around them. So we're going after those people, and they don't reside necessarily on Instagram. They reside on Twitter, LinkedIn, and mainly YouTube. And those are our channels where we're actually finding them. The second that you're talking about with Udemy, so when you spoke interestingly about B2B and Udemy, the thing is, Udemy doesn't sign exclusive agreements with their people. If you upload something on Udemy, the content is yours. So you can very well leave Udemy and go somewhere else as a knowledge creator. The same thing will work for us. But if you work with us as a company and you pay us a subscription, you not only get MOOCs, which is what Udemy does. By the way, MOOCs have a 90% dropout rate, so they're ineffective in actually helping people upskill. Here we also specialize in cohort-based courses, which basically means there's live plus pre-recorded content, which actually has a 90% completion rate. So when a B2B partner signs up with us, they not only get informational products, they not only get pre-recorded content, but they also get live access to the knowledge creator. Why will the knowledge creator stay with us? Two reasons. One is the stickiness of the product. When you upload all your content onto the platform, all your workflows, all your marketing elements are already there. It's very difficult to go from one place or one product to another. And the second thing is, as you start increasing deal flow, or so to say distribution from the creator's end, it becomes very difficult to actually then leave and go to another platform and start from scratch. Because B2B essentially means that we're providing a lot of distribution to our creators anyway.
Perfect. Okay. So hopefully that came in, and I know we could have a good banter back and forth, but I think Mike will want to come in, but thank you very much, Ben. That was good feedback. Remove spotlight. Mike, you come in. I think there's got to be something here on, I think there was something missed in the
I will switch my feedback to feedback rather than questions, bearing in mind time. So this is feedback observations for you, Varun. Basically, one of the things that I felt was missing was the route to market. How are you actually going to get your clients? How are you going to find it all? Because the funds you're talking about generating are going to be spent, and some, on getting it out there. So if we're talking about all of that money there's, plus the fact there's 3 of you involved at the moment, there's salaries to be taken and so on. So we're not talking about big pots available here to go up against those guys in the marketing message. The observation I've got, and this is just about the pitch, which is clearly my area. We love the passion and the enthusiasm and the way it comes across, but we do need you to breathe. Yes, breathe. Yeah, please, and breathing is our biological way of making us pause. And if we're pausing, it gives the audience time to digest what you're saying. So I still believe you're very content heavy for a 5-minute pitch. So there's a certain amount of detail that we can reduce that will come out in the conversations, as has happened with Ben and Chris just now, to take a bit more out of that pitch to enable you to actually speak slower, which will then in turn enable you to breathe, which then means people can actually digest some of the bits you're saying, rather than thinking, holy cow, what was that? I've just missed 47 words and I only tuned out for 3 seconds. So that's just an observation for the pitch going forward for the next time you're presenting. But it came across well. You had some good answers. BD.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, now we get the feedback from everybody else. Let's let's level up, and I'm launching it. So do you understand what the pitch or what they do? Do you understand the specific ask? And do you think it's investable or not investable? Lots of fun. We've got this. Make sure that as we're going along here, we've got a LinkedIn page on the BullRing. Make sure you're out there following us on LinkedIn. You'll get a note after this for all the attendees. You'll also get the follow-up and feedback from all of what we've seen here. So you'll get the websites, you'll get to have behind the scenes stuff. So here we go. In the poll. So do you understand what Let's Level Up does? 92% said yes. Do you understand the specific ask? Yes, kind of, and no. So you're kind of in that middle to no section. And investable or not investable, almost 50-50, but you got it on the investable side. Ready, there it is. Walked you through it, so you'll have that to see. Hopefully, we've got it. All right, stop sharing there, done. And here we go. So thank you very much, Varun. I'll take that down and you'll get that later. So next we're gonna move on to Chloe. Chloe, we're working on, I'll get this one, this is yours. And make the spotlight for everybody. Is this the one we want?
I'm not sure.
Yep,
Yeah,
I can hear you, and then you can share from the other screen.
Okay.
See, so we can see that. So if you put it to presentation mode. So next up in the BullRing, we have Chloe from KZ or KZ Organics. So Chloe, in typical BullRing fashion, as soon as we can see that, is it flying on the screen? You're gonna drag it and drop it there. Beautiful things. Okay, there you are. Okay, Chloe, your 5 minutes in the BullRing starts now.
So I'm Chloe and I'm the founder of KZ Organics. I have 2 other businesses at the moment. So I have a smoothie bar and a community-led CIC, which we houses homeless people through technology. 2020, I decided I was done with startups and I wanted to focus on giving back as much as possible. So I was working on the border of France to England, and 2020 I returned back with coronavirus. I then went on to develop long COVID along with 2 million people within the UK right now. From there, I developed prosmia, so everything smelled like rotting meat regardless of the content. But I thought that this was only happening to me, or it was down to deep cleaning of the factories. I didn't realise that 3.9% of people within the UK already had it in 2007. So we have another 2 million people on top who also could have this problem. So why skincare? I can't change people doing the roadworks. I can't stop people cutting the grass, but I can change my life, how I wake up every morning, and skincare is just a daily essential that everybody uses. So I'm completing my own research by testing it with 100 people within the UK who have prosmia and long COVID, so we can see what the results are compared to my results. I've done this by creating meaningful relationships with charities such as 5th Sense. And we won Small Business Sunday last Sunday, which was good news. In terms of people and planet, we're part of the ethical move to make sure our advertising is ethical. We're part of the Better Business Act and we've just submitted for B Corporation. In terms of sustainability, we're fully recyclable. We don't contribute to deforestation and we have policies in place, both environmental and social. In our product range, we're vegetarian, cruelty-free, paraben-free, sulfate-free and made in England. So we have a lip balm for hydration. That's this one. We have the microdermabrasion scrub for removing dead skin. We have a beard oil, which is trusted by barbers, if you see the green symbol in the corner. And that's very good for making your beard shiny and keeping facial hair healthy. We have a cucumber cleanser as well, which soothes and hydrates the skin. We have a men's moisturiser, which again reduces dry skin, and that's also trusted by the barber shops that we work with. You can find us in the range, Amazon, eBay, and on our website. We did pitch to retailers last week and we're in talks with 2 major buyers at the moment. And we did just sign with British Devere as well, who are on Sky TV. So today, what we're looking for is either a tech partner or we're looking to explore augmented reality and artificial intelligence within skincare. At the moment, one of our competitors is Olay, who offer something similar, but look at focusing on aging of the skin. But we want to focus on education and well-being to make it more of a well-being company than just looking at how bad we may or may look in 10 years. So if we use AI-powered search, this will give us the opportunity to give buyers taking the confusion out of skincare. So if people are overwhelmed with all the different choices, we can just do something really simple and tell them what they should be using. We can use augmented reality to drive sales. If we can show people what the products would look like when they've used it, like the beard oil, when people have used it in the barber shops, this is, oh, I don't want any of that. And then they've used it and they've been shocked at how different they look just from the shine. And then they want to try the moisturizer, and next thing you know, they're buying the whole product range for the wives. So if we can do something like that with the AR, I think we could overtake the skincare market really with what we're offering. It will cost us around £100,000 to develop the software, and we're looking to give 10% of in-app sales to whoever wants to partner with us or work with us. And you can find us here. And that's everything. We're open to questions.
Perfect. Thank you. That was great. You came in last time it was 3 minutes. Now it's at 4 minutes. That was beautiful.
Well,
that was good. You did very, very well. So Ben, we're going to start off with you. I'm going to add the spotlight. So Ben, questions, comments, your tech background. So it's always good, and probably a little bit of beard moisturizer every once in a while. So over to you, Ben.
Thanks. I'll keep on the comment part now. So I think you outlined the problem pretty well. So I like that. The solution is what I wasn't 100% convinced of, and why is that? Because you're giving a quasi-medical solution without saying it's medical, but I would put a bit more emphasis on why does it work. Like, have you tested it in I don't know, 1,000 different people, or is it backed by any studies or something like that? Maybe it is, but seeing it in the pitch would probably help convincing the people who are looking at it that the solution work. And then the tech part is really interesting. I've seen something similar, and I think AR is a good tool to do stuff like that. There's some Israeli companies that, for example, with the camera of your cell phone, measure your blood pressure, which I think is a good use case for that type of technology. 10% for a company making it might not be the best idea. If you could have someone to make it internally and not lose 10% of your company, that could probably be better, or find some other like world hacking ways. But I think it's an interesting market to use it on.
That's good.
Perfect. Any questions, Chloe? Because you don't have to respond, but you can ask a question if you want to ask a question of Ben.
No, not really. I think it's all covered.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Ben, for your feedback. We'll move over to you, Chris. So I'll pull you in here, and then we'll add spotlight. There you are. There you're on mute, and we're ready to go.
Okay, fine. I had a bit of a difficulty understanding the sequence of the presentation, which started in a personal experience with long COVID, and then ended up in a sort of positioning and presentation of primarily skincare and skincare related products, which may or may not be sold as a cure, or even having been developed as a result of the affliction. So I need to the investor needs to understand, I guess, the same way we just heard, what is the problem, and is this the solution? If it's a product range for people that have had some sort of difficulty with COVID, then that needs to start out in that time frame. If COVID-related research has produced this product for everyone, then that should be explained. I did have some experience running a skincare part of Gillette many years ago, so I know a little bit about the formulations and the testing and all of that. But the product that I thought had the best shot out of the box was the beard oil. I hadn't heard much, seen much on that product category. Maybe there are a lot of entries, but you yourself said that the people try the beard oil first, and then they're happy with that, so then they experiment further. The size of the range to me would be less important than the compelling nature of at least one product. So if you want to lift and separate your proposition from all the competition out there, at least on what I saw in the 5 minutes or 4 minutes, I would take my bet on the beard oil, come up with a marketing program to shops or even online, where that's what it is. What you've got is the best. It's based on research or technology or medical science of a certain type, and try it, money back guarantee, whatever you want to use. But there's a lot of people that don't have a lot of products in that space. There's products for shaping, combing, brushing, washing beards, but maybe just people use normal conditioner. But this looked to me like a special post application, like you would put on hairspray or a gloss or something, rather than in the process of cleaning. And it sounded like it would have some appeal in the men's category.
Feedback, Chloe?
Yeah, definitely. I think the beard oil is quite popular within the barber shops. It's just getting people to try the range, I think, because every product's exactly the same as the beard oil, but we just need them to try it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Right.
exactly the same in that they're all based on the same technology or the same formulation or the same magic ingredient, or when you say they're all the same as the beard oil, they're developed in the same way.
Yeah.
And
We
how is
focus
that?
on texture and the scent after they're fulfilling the purpose. So when you go to a shop, you'll find someone that's fulfilling the purpose. Maybe they want to make someone look younger, and then they look at the texture and the scent, but we do the opposite way around. So we focus on scent, then texture, then fulfilling the purpose.
That's cool.
Okay, so it's a perfume business. I mean,
It's an anti-perfume business, isn't it? It's kind of the antithesis of it, perfume.
well, you optimize the scent first. If the optimization is no scent, then say 100% scent free. But if the scent is supposed to be enhancing the enjoyment, then there's got to be a story behind it, and just consumer testing will lead you in the right direction. Anyway, I think it's a fascinating initiative. My caution would be, don't worry about fleshing out the range so much. You'll have trouble getting a range into some retail space. You might be able to get the beard oil in, but not everything else. But again, we had 5 minutes. It was a good presentation, passionate and based on experience. So keep plugging away.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Okay, and I'll bring you in, Mike, now. So add spotlight.
Okay, just following on from what's been said by others, that what I'm hearing from the further digging, this basically the smells and the scents that come with this are created in a framework that means that people suffering from paromsia are not smelling rotten meat anymore. They're actually able to smell the beautiful scents that you're creating, which then leads to the need for black and white evidence. And that's where the data that you need to be creating now. So maybe if you're spending the next 3-6 months just trial after trial after trial, just whether it be through the shops or be it through the barber shops or the retail outlets, so you get as much evidence as possible. So you're getting to the 4 figures, 5 figures, plus also then getting the dermatologists or the doctors or whichever involved as well, so they are able to give you evidence from the medical side of things that adds a side of it just being, well, it works for me, so I'm trying it with everybody else. That will then give you the kudos, which will give you the scope that people start taking you more seriously, to give you the finance that will enable you to go down the AI route and everything else. Because one of the big decisions to be made over the next few months is, how big do you want to take this, which therefore means how much evidence do we need, what backing do we need, as in clever names and associations and evidence that it's been tested and trialed effectively, and how that can be built. And I know you've got certain parts of that already in line. I appreciate it, but it's just that getting the balance of that information across, because it's your journey that you're going through is not solitary, and that's where this is. There are millions of people in the same boat as you, so we really need to get that journey, that story, that message absolutely clear, so people get it in a bite-sized chunk.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Good stuff. No, that was great. Great feedback from the bulls. And now let's see what the audience thinks. So we're going to go with KZ Organics. Here we go, launching it. Go ahead, everybody. Tell us what you think, what you know. Feedback is always helpful.
Just whilst people are doing that, if you do have other questions you want to put into any of the pictures, please just add them into the chat. And whilst that might not be discussed right now, I know the pictures will be looking at anything in the chat that's asking them further questions or observations, or maybe you're saying you need to talk to me. Well, there again, that's always possible. Just use the chat box, please.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, here we are. I'm going to end the poll. 3, 2, 1, there you are. Share results. Okay, so you understand what you do. Majority of people understand what you do. Understand the ask, kind of. And then investable or not investable, you've still got 4 people on there that are on your side. I think that's where we are. So that was a great presentation. Thank you very much, Chloe. And that was good. So last up, Christopher, you can come in now. I will put you on spotlight. If you could share your screen. There you are, sharing your screen.
All right. Well, hi everybody. My name is.
I gotta get my timer set up. You're amazing.
Oh, I
Hold
see.
on
All
a
right.
second.
I can wait for you, man. You
Jeez.
just let me know, and I'll.
There
I'll
you
hit
go.
it.
Okay, now I've got it all set up here. Don't sue me. Here we go. Ready? Your 5 minutes, Christopher, starts now.
All right. Well, hello again, everyone. I'm Christopher Thurn. I'm the founder of Alacrity, and we are a SaaS platform that helps organizations get more from their professional service firms. And in particular, we think that by creating accountability with your professional service firms, you're going to generate value, you're going to save costs, and you're going to be able to push corporate objectives like diversity. So we've started off in legal. And the principal reason that we started off here is A, it's an enormous market. Everybody needs a lawyer. And secondly, there's nobody, I'm guessing, in this audience that hasn't had a negative experience with a lawyer, right? If we could do one of the polls that BD just pulled up and we said, right, how many people have gotten a bill that they thought was going to be 10 grand and turned out to be 100 grand from a law firm, I'm guessing most people would raise their hands. And that's not an uncommon experience when working with law firms. So we really set out to help clients answer 3 questions. Who should they hire for counsel? How much should they pay? And then fundamentally, did they get the service that they deserved? Okay. And this becomes a real problem. We're working with larger clients, and they might be working with 20, 30, 50, 100 different law firms. So really understanding what makes those law firms different and the service aspects of those relationships is mission critical when they're buying services. So how do we do that? Okay, so what we do is we go through a process on every matter that goes out to external counsel. And first things first, we get a budget for a particular piece of work. Now, it seems really basic that you would get a budget before you start spending money, but only about 10% of legal matters start out with a budget. Okay, so we can also look at various law firms and say, well, what's the right budget for us for this piece of work, and compare those together. Then, during the ongoing course of a matter, we monitor against it and see, right, are there any scope changes that are going to make this matter cost more? Are we still getting what we want? Are we happy with the service while that's being delivered to us? And then finally, at the end, we look at the billing, we figure out what was promised versus what was delivered, and we collect a whole bunch of qualitative feedback about that interaction to figure out whether that service delivery was what you wanted or not. In addition to that, because we work with law firms all the time, we also want to layer in some elements that aren't just the financial aspects of that, right? Increasingly, supplier relationships are less about just the dollars and cents, but also we want to infuse with our values. So we look at things like the diversity of our law firms, the value-added services they're providing to us, any project management, those sorts of things. And that allows us to take a really holistic look at those relationships and figure out whether they're working or not. Doing this process, by the way, and putting some rigor into that rather than the traditional just email a law firm and get started is on average saving our clients about 16% on their legal bills just off the top by infusing some process into this. Obviously, we've seen a bit of an uptick as the economy's gone a bit wobbly that we think is gonna benefit us. Similarly, one of the things that we want to monitor and manage and what's becoming core to many legal functions is diversity. So many legal departments are under pressure to look at the diversity of their supply chain and improve it where appropriate. And we've got an entire set of products that help clients do just that. Look at the diversity of their outside counsel and intervene where required. This isn't just about the law. As you can imagine, this applies to every professional services firm out there. So that's accountants, that's auditors, that's consultants, that's bankers. All of these things we think this process applies to. And as we grow, we're going to expand not just from law firms, but into broader professional services in terms of supply chain management. As I mentioned at the top, we work with bigger companies, those spending sort of between $5 and $100 million on external counsel. And we've got a pretty robust pipeline. This year, we hope we're going to do about $1 million quid of ARR by year end. We've got some big things to close between now and the end of the year that we're excited about. And we're really looking for about 500,000 pounds of additional capital to see us through to profitability early next year and to really accelerate some of the plans that we have for growth, particularly around some of the diversity and other products that we're starting to see get real traction in the marketplace. Thanks very much. Oh, I don't think we can hear you.
You can't hear me. So let's see. So I will bring in Ben. You're going to come in first. So add spotlight. So Ben, questions from you, comments from you?
Thank you. I think it was a great pitch, very clear, a beautiful deck until you started going against lawyers, because my background is in law. I'm kidding. But I think it's an interesting solution. The fact that I would like to understand better is who in a specific corporation would buy this. Like when you pitch to a client, is it to the CFO, to, if it's a law firm, to one of the partners? Because in a B2B business, I always like to understand what the incentive is for those people buying it.
Yeah.
How do they make their bonus, and how are you going to help them make a bigger bonus or advance in the corporation, or save money or whatever? Who's doing that?
So it's a great question. So we typically sell to the general counsel of a company, okay? And two reasons that they're under pressure at the moment. One, which is budgets are being tightened. And by the way, hourly rates for law firms are going up. So they need to institute some sort of process so they don't blow through their budgets. On the other hand, on the diversity product, and the reason we see that's getting traction is because about 20% of Fortune 500 GCs are this year directly bonused on implementing some sort of ESG for legal, okay? So they actually are directly bonused on being able to hold up their hand and say, this is what we did to advance our organization's DE&I agenda for this year. So for example, we're helping a big life insurer in the US right now do just that. That's actually probably going to go in their annual report, is one of their initiatives that they can say, right, we did something on ESG here. We did this in a really effective way that's a little bit innovative. And the other part there is on that, the legal profession is probably the least diverse profession in terms of professional services out there. So being able to make any steps in the right direction tends to get quite a bit of attention. So GCs are under pressure to reduce costs because budgets are coming down. Flip side of that is they're directly bonused on some sort of ESG because their organizations have placed value on that.
Awesome. Thank you. And I would like to keep talking after this.
Sure.
Cool. Okay, so I'll bring Chris in now. Chris, your feedback.
Yeah, let me just see if I'm muted.
Nope, you're good.
No, okay. Well, it became clear that when you say you selling to the general counsel, it's a kind of procurement, like a procurement division in the other part of the operations of a company, and so it's a discipline. Is it a service where you train them to do this kind of vetting or tracking, or is it the actual vetting and tracking? Do you interview people on their behalf for their potential service providers or potential law firms, or are you just reviewing publicly available data and, asking them to fill in forms for what's the budget you want to use and who are the law firms you're planning to use. I think, like Ben, I have an intuitive feeling that this is a very potentially productive area. I just don't know how many companies are in the field of doing this. And if you have success already, you mentioned a couple of big kind of example projects, then figure out how to, incorporate them in more detail or offer a separate meeting to discuss projects where you're allowed to, because it's definitely the direction in which the horses are going. And procurement in service provision, especially professional services, where the fees are going through the roof, and not everybody, probably not more than a third of the people get they really got, the worth of what they paid, even if they like the firm and appreciate the advice. So yeah, I'm positive toward the initiative, and you obviously understand it. So it's really a question of amassing your next steps in the most efficient way to accelerate the scale up.
Yeah.
What are you charging on the basis of a percentage of spend or a percentage of some notional amount saved?
Yeah, so let me just quickly address a couple of things, and thanks for your words there at the end. So first and foremost, let me answer the question of where the data comes from, right? So legal is notoriously non-transparent, right? So what we do is all of the data that we get is generated via the platform. So when I say a company, for example, might go out to 3 law firms and ask for budgets. Those law firms have to input the budget to Alacrity, that time and team and those other things they put on there. And so the client can compare those really simply and easily and make a determination as to who they want to use. And in addition to just cost, there's also an aspect of understanding the experience of those lawyers. What that does, obviously, is generates data for our platform to help us, for example, run a recommendation engine that says, hey, I'm not sure who's better between Allen and Overy and Linklaters and Clifford Chance. We can go, well, actually, we've had clients on the platform that have had experience across those 3 firms, but that firm in particular is outperforming. So the data is generated on platform. We're not using publicly available information because, as you highlighted, things like fee rates are simply not public. And then to get to something you sort of said there at the end, which is that value question. This is really important, and we focus a lot on value, and that's different from what you see generally in the market. And by value, I mean you might be willing to pay. So a top partner at Slaughter and May, for example, charges you £2,000 an hour now, right? A lot of money. However, if that attorney takes you through, the regulatory process, that means that you don't have to split up your company. That's value for money. That's tens of millions of dollars you'd be happy to pay. So we have to balance the costs against the outcomes, and that's really what we're trying to help clients do, is find that balance. It's not just about how much did I pay, it's about what did I get at the end. So trying to move from that focus on inputs to really getting to some place where we're looking at the outputs and balancing it and looking at value delivered rather than just price.
Yeah, but do you charge based on value delivered or recommended value delivered, or you charge just on an hourly basis? I mean, you're supposed to be the procurement experts. Well, how would you advise people on your business model as a potential supplier?
So we charge based on how much clients spend across our platform. So we aim to charge 0.5%. So if client spends 10 million, we get 50 grand, right? And we also have a services layer on top of that. So to your point, there are legal departments that don't want to go through the headache. We can give them a person to effectively run legal procurement for them if they like, for an extra 50, 100 grand, whatever's appropriate to that client.
Cool.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. Thanks for the questions, Chris. And I'll remove the spotlight and put Mike in now for a second.
No problem. Thank you. Number of little bits going through my head. I've written down just some pointers that I've put in there. Chris came in, Chris came in as well. So are you teaching law firms strategic purchasing? Is this all a clever way of just creating preferred supplier lists in the legal profession? Are we just promoting best practice? Is it a reverse engineering a CRM system that will specifically tailor for the purchasing of supplies? Is it an app that people plug into? I realize those are all questions that have half been asked before, but it's still just that clarity in my head. You're basically giving them a plug-in on their purchasing department that gives them all the scope, enabling them to make clever purchasing decisions, which will save them money in the long run. And obviously the fee discussions that you had with Chris there. And it's just that clarity. And I know when we've talked before, that the clearer it is to make it so obvious, the good old 3-year-old will understand it. And that's where it suddenly has absolute takeaway value, that people get it. Yeah. If this was a sales pipeline, then it's the sales CRM software, but this is the other side of that equation. So fine, we plug all of that in. We get you the prices. We get all of that sorted. If you want us to do more, we'll even give you people, personnel, so you then become the one-stop purchasing gurus that you have to go to, because the average people save when they work through Alacrity is 15%. Boom. There you go, nice and clean.
Yeah, and just to respond to that, yeah, I agree with you. How I would describe it, right, is the core of our product is a process product, right? It helps people run a process that embeds best practice into the organization. Most organizations already have preferred supplier lists, so it's really about optimizing within that preferred supplier list. However, most clients are not sophisticated enough necessarily to do that on their own, right? So that's where we add an element of a helping hand and say, actually, we are experts in this stuff and we have a team that knows how to do this. And the third bit of it then is the upper end bit, which is the data piece, right? So the data drives and helps everybody make smarter decisions. So we layer that in throughout those other two pieces. And the other thing that you highlighted, Mike, and is the law firm side, right? So we're right now really just helping corporate clients. The next evolution of our business will also be to help law firms, okay? To optimize what they're doing to really win more work, because ultimately we want to be a sales enabler for a law firm, because that's obviously where a giant pot of revenue is and where that must have comes from. So we are absolutely doing that, and you're going to see us, again, part of this capital raise is about pushing that out and really developing those products and getting them in the hands of some pretty impressive law firms. Perfect.
Okay, let's see what the audience thought. Here we go. So there's your poll. So everybody jump in. Tell us if you understood what to do, if you understood the ask, and investable or not investable. They're flying, and we're getting actually much better at this. You guys are getting so much faster on the third one. If we had a fourth one, I'm sure we'd be in very rapidly in 30 seconds. So there we are. We got about 3 more people that we need to come in there. End poll, share poll. There we are. So you understand investable or not investable? So nearly 70% investable. So there we have it. Very good. Thank you very much, Christopher. It was good to have you pitch in the bull ring. Okay, now we move on to the last part, which is the wrap up. So we're going to go through each of the bulls, and then I'll give my feedback at the end. But Mike, from your presentation point of view, I'll start off with you. So over to you for kind of the overall, what you saw and whether people listened to Pitch Perfect Practice and where we went from a week and a half ago to where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part, and I know it's repetitive, but it's a 5-minute pitch, and we know each one of you can talk for hours about your offering, the love, where it created from, what you're going to give, and 1,001 questions will give long answers to everything. So it's the hard part is just giving enough information to generate interest. And the one thing that a couple of you, just that clarity point of how simple and so obvious it is what you do, so that people can just get it straight away. Can you put it into a 10-second animated video clip that really demonstrates clearly what it is? It's that sort of level of words. And once that information's there, then you can go off on tangents all over the place and have stories running through it. I want you all to smile, to show your passion, show your engagement, which was really evident today. Each one of you is hungry and loves what you're doing there. And you didn't come across, nobody was boring, nobody tuned us out. It's that engaging, and that whole primary focus of this environment of pitching is that's interesting. Let's have another conversation. And I've heard that language being used a couple of times today. So well done. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Okay, Chris, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, I think part of it is the process of the BullRing with the 5-minute cap, and people are getting better and better at compressing what they have to say into 5 minutes, sometimes by just talking faster, or sometimes by filling up the PowerPoint presentation. The Japanese are excellent, great at that. What Mike just said, I had a similar thought, like maybe there's a way that in the 5 minutes, or maybe as an additional minute, but before the 5 minutes, everybody gets to do a 1-minute elevator pitch. But the pitch is not, about how it's going to scale up or how we get from A to B, but really, if you ran into the specifier for the purchase of your product or service, if it's a consumer product, then it's a consumer. If it's a corporate legal head, then that's the specifier. And you run into the specifier of the biggest possible client in the elevator, what would you say? Or some summary of why the person should specify what you have to sell. That will not always work if the product or service is so new that you then have to get into, well, here's your problem, or this probably is your problem, and I have a solution. So, but quite often it is a product that there is a specifier, and by asking that question, it forces people to say, this is proven by science. This has been the result of product testing. This is an idea that came about by combining blah, 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 blah. So I would offer that suggestion as a way to balance off the compression value of the perfect pitch coaching. They're getting a lot more valuable to the investor's mindset, but we're still having a bit of trouble deciding what the core business is, the core product. So beyond that, another good BullRing.
Thank you very much. We're trying to improve all the time, always improving. Ben, your first BullRing. So kind of just overall feedback to the pitchers, not specific, but kind of what you saw and maybe something that they can add or take away from their pitches.
Thank you. Well, overall, it was great and it was fun. So thanks for inviting me. And on the pitches overall, I would say that the problem with having 5-minute pitches is usually you want to go for storytelling in a pitch before an investor. But if you have 5 minutes, I think that the challenge is you probably don't want to go for storytelling because you would take too much time and not explain a lot. So I would use a framework of problem and solution. So this is what we're trying to solve, and here's how we're solving it with a little bit of what Chris was saying, like with a platform, with this product, with whatever. So if you use that framework, it's probably better to get both attention and understanding from potential investors, partners, employees, whatever. So yeah, that's my thoughts right now.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So let's see if I can do this spotlight for everybody. So, and mine coming on the back of that, and Mike and I did talk about this in Pitch Perfect Practice, is who uses your product and how do they use it? I know you guys went through great detail, but that one story of Chloe, if you just introduced us to yourself and how this happened and how you bought it and what's happening and how you're then passing it on to somebody, and each of you have that. if we had that story and we talked about it, but then you said, okay, I got to cut all these slides out of my pitch and then I can't add something back in. So it's really that if somebody doesn't understand exactly what you do or who you're pitching it to, like Chris asked, okay, they have this thing or this thing. It's really just getting us that little story at the beginning. If you have that 1 minute of, here's Chris uses this, he runs a law firm, he does this thing, does that. And if he uses our app and hooks it into his team and does this, then he has this outcome. Hi, I'm Christopher from whatever. So it's really getting that really quick story, because then we know what you're talking about. So overall, and you can use that in sales. If you can paint that picture, then I know how to buy it. And the best thing about it is you have 26 people or 25 people, because you're one of the other 26, that can now walk out and say, hey, I saw this awesome platform today that does this, and you run a law firm. Here, go talk to them, or you have this, or you have long COVID. So just make sure you're doing that. So this is all about improvement moving forward, and you've had hopefully some great feedback from everybody. So thank you very much to Chris, to Ben, to Mike for giving the feedback. It's always helpful to hear from professionals and people that are out there throwing money around and listening to pitches all day long. So thanks for that. And thank you very much to Christopher, to Chloe, and to Varun for pitching today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And we'll see you back here in October. You'll get a newsletter out. I'd say I'll send that out on Monday, or I'll wait until Tuesday for the bank holiday. But you'll get everybody's details, all that type of stuff, so that you can track down Christopher, Chloe, Varun. And looking forward to our BullRing in October, which I believe is on the 20th. So I will get the details out for you. And thank you very much for attending the BullRing, and have a great day. And I'll stop recording.